As-Salam, As-Salam, As-Salam. Latif, Al-Sufian, the weed. Abraham, Islam. Our subject matter is going to be deep. So we must open in the Al-Fatiha according to the Al-Sufian. There is no other deity but Allah. All praises be to Allah. Our divine thought in our discussion today is Moorish God. Moorish God. Put these two words together so it can bring us on home. Every God ain't yours, but the Moorish God is your own. You got Chinese God.
That's right, isn't that God?
You got European God.
Yes, sir.
You got Norwegian God. Hindu God.
Yeah.
So every nationality has a God. So us being denationalized, we lost our own God.
Sure did.
And so we were left behind to pick up the other nation gods. In pursuing of theirs, we neglected to find our own. So we return for all Asiatics of America to return to accept them their own. It's time to accept your own, your own. And your own is the Moorish God. Now, we haven't heard much about the Moorish God. We heard about all the other gods. So with Moorish, we deal with the furs. And so since the furs were made last, we had to go through all these other names until we get to ours, our Moorish God, Allah, left by our first father, Abraham. But since we was furs, and in their scriptures, they said the furs shall be made last. So we was put at the bottom of the rung. And so while these other nations and nationalities reaped our surplus and turned our surplus into their own self-worship. Now we're going to look at this from the Moorish perspective. From number 17 out of our Moorish Holy Quran, chapter 10 and 17. The nations of the earth see Allah from different points of view. And so he does not seem the same to every nation. Let's follow the way now. Man names, these nations names the part of Allah they see. And this to them is all of Allah. and every nation sees a part of our law, and every nation has a name for our law. Example, you Brahmins call our law Parabrahm. In Egypt, our law is Thoth. And Zeus is our law's name in Greece. Jehovah is our law's Jewish name. But everywhere, our law is the causeless cause, the rootless root from which all things have grown, including all the people. So this is what we haven't been known. So we was taking down a yellow brick road. And so we had to find who we were. And we find who we are by our God. So now we see where every nation have gotten their identity from is from our Moorish God.
Right.
And from that perspective, all nationalities, including their language, has come from Moorish culture. So now, why were we made last? Now we go to chapter 47 and 17 in the Moorish Holy Quran. That is why the people of the Moors was taken away from them in 1774. Now check this out. These other nations call this nationality. Nation, nationality, nationality. So when they say they stripped the Moors of their nationality, we didn't call it nationality. That word nationality for us and our Moorish culture is called divinity. So this is why the divinity of the Moors was taken away from them in 1774. And what replaced their divinity was these words: Negro, black, and color. These was given as a new nationality by these other nations that invaded your land and wanted to take away your divinity. So to take away your divinity, they created a clever scheme called nationality. And this is the effect of colonialization. Colonialization. So the Moors was the people of the Asiatics, who was known as the Asiatics of America, who were never told their descent. And so our descent delivered by the holy prophet was the descent of the Moors. And now we can trace this back with absoluteness. So if we can understand what is happening here, what comes with a new nationality is a new God. What comes with this new God is a new set of principles And now these new set of principles is what you honor under this new nationality, such as black, Negro, color. So these are principles that one can choose to honor if they honor not the divine creed of their Moorish God, who is their mother and father. So what makes the Moorish system so omnipotent is that this was the first system that was a truth system. Did we catch that? This was the first system that was based on all truth. So they had to take away this divine system and replace it with a new nation's system. So, and this is what is called the acts of those who went astray. If you took on and accepted the new nationality and principles to honor under the label and word Negro, black, and color, then that was called straying after the gods of Europe, of whom Abraham knew nothing of. So how would they get us to go astray? Is by using the word God. The word God is a Moorish name. So when they understood that the power was in this understanding, they began to murder, kill, steal everything that the Holy Land had at that location. So when this happened, this is what's called, they was kicked out of the holy city. These new nations that we see now spread it across the lands. And they help you and talk to you now about who you are and where they get their whole culture. Some metamorph into religion, some metamorph into philosophy, some metamorph into a theology, some metamorph into a theosophy, others change into non-equal based systems of law that was concerned with dominion and having thrones. So a lot of things have occurred since we have separated from the principles of our Moorish God. So people of Moorish descent worship of Moorish God. This is what was taken away from us, was our Moorish God, because our Moorish God holds our divinity. And if you take away a people's God, you take away a people's divinity. And now you can replace that with a nationality given by your oppressor. So let's first establish that all people of Moorish descent, they have a special right that was never told to them and is not called human rights. coming from our divine creed. As we open up the pages of our divine creed, Al-Sufian Islam. Our divinity is locked in our divine creed. Your divinity and your divine creed has been told to be called your nationality and your religion. These two things were stripped from you as a spirit, mind, and body. So as a spirit, mind, and body, the people who wanted to oppress you knew that they can oppress you if they took away your divinity, which encompasses your rights. And this that was written by Abraham, our first father, was the highest form of right. And that being the right of divine use. So under our divine creed, Al-Sufian Islam, we have a form of right that is the highest form of right a man may be given. This is not in their constitution. This is not in any other nation's constitution or any form of principalities. Remember, in their scriptures that they wrote for themselves and put together for themselves, to trick us, never mention divine rights. We heard of civil rights. We heard of human rights. But what the oppressor of ignorance never wanted any people to find out, that was a such thing called divine right. And this is the highest form of right a man may be given, and this is only out of the Al-Sufian Islam. No other holy book that is not written from Moorish hand and thought is not carved out the eternity of truth. They are writing in effect to have dominion over the whole earth, themselves only. So the concept of one God came from Moorish perspective. The Moorish perspective of one deity is what became the pantheons and the pandemoniums of all these other nations. So these other nations have no powers, have no gods. These are just remixing of the divine divinity of the Moorish God, who is one, whole, and not separate from his creation. So we're going to get into these divine rights. The highest form coming from our legal authority, our Ajazah, Sufa 105, 6 and 7. The highest form of right a man may be given is the right of divine use. Now, what does the right of divine use means according to Al-Sufian. The right of divine use means these are the gifts that Allah has given to you of your flesh and your mind. This is why it comes to understanding of the Moorish perspective. So no other culture will you find the highest form of right given in their book, which is the right of divine use, which is the gifts bestowed upon you by your divine creator, and he has given to you of your flesh, of your mind. So this means that no city, state, local, federal can own anything that Allah has given. So all these other nations have not given you your flesh. All these other nationalities have not given you your flesh. So the word God has been so perverted now that some people want to stay far away from the word God. Some people want to understand, where does this come from? Some people want to understand, why does it have so much power and all nations use this apparatus? And it links all nations to sovereignty. But somehow, if you are under the black, Negro, colored label, you lack sovereignty. You need a middleman to ask for granting. So a middleman has to give the black, Negro, or colored permission, which means he has no sovereignty. Sovereignty means you have the God-given right from the divine creator, Allah, to use your own flesh and to use your own mind that was a gift given to you by the creator himself. This was the overall understanding of the Moorish God. The Moorish God had names that reflected himself. And the names was given characteristics and actions. And this is what other nations and other nationalities took, was the names of our divine creator and made gods out of them. Out of our creator name. So there is no other deity but Allah. And Allah is universal. Allah is divine. Allah is for all. Our Moorish Islam, which is called Al-Sufian Islam, was for all the people of the world. And so this is what you know today as the teachings of Jesus. Bringing it back to the simple message that all are equal. And this understanding is the highest right to ever exist. And everything that is divine is under divine law. So the only thing that has ever been divine from the beginning is what Allah has created. And the people who kept to that principality through the highest of honor was the people of the Moorish descent, known as the people of RAB. So there is a divine owner that owns all existence. And this is the concept of the Moorish God. There's only the true and only ultimate owner. So these other nations, this is why they are warring, because they don't own anything. And if you don't own anything, then your tactic to own is causing war and confusion.
That's right.
So you can plunder and steal the land
That's right.
and its resources through nationalization.
Yeah.
So from the beginning, the whole lands, don't matter if they split it to 7 continents, the whole lands is owned by Allah. All of the earth, all of the water, all of the air, all of the fire, all of life is the possession of the divine creator. So this is why they had to make multifaceted religions to get you from this one divinity and to get you into a plural or plurality of gods. Taking your mind and making it worship many things around you. When all this was from within. So now we have the true and divine creed of Islam, which was sent to this earth by Allah to teach the old time wisdom and the everlasting truth to the sons of men, that every people shall and must worship under their own vine and fig tree. That's called divine law. And return to their own. And that is what is called natural law. So divine and natural are not two separate words. They are the cause and the effect of the existence of Allah. as our divine creed of Al-Sufian reads. We are but one. We are but one, talking about this one divinity. Yet within one, we are split into parts. This is what we was reading earlier about the parts of Allah, is what man names. See, man names the part of Allah that he sees. See, in our Al-Sufian Islam, it has both the unseen and the seen. So his names cover the unseen, and his characteristics and actions cover the seen, what can be seen, heard, and felt. And this is what is called divine law and natural law, which is one. So the divine has a nature. This is how it becomes natural. You have a nature. A tree have a nature. Everything in existence have a nature. And this is what your divine creed, within its tenets, this is what was declared. So you would know your divinity, they gave you a new book.
Yeah.
And that was the Bible and the Quran. A new way, a new perspective, a new thought. So this is very key. Our concept of God was very personal. So personal that the divine creator individually made you. And this is why you exist. To live is to learn. To learn of your divine creator who created you. See, but European nations, this is why they put the Bible together. So you wouldn't be under Al-Sufian Islam, and you would be under the Bible, which is under the church and Christianity, which belongs to the European nations and their forefathers. While we of the Moorish descent, Al-Sufian Americans, are returning to Islam, which was founded by Abraham, for all his descendants, earthly and divine salvation. With Abraham was the covenant, the law, and the way of Islam. The covenant was with the great God Allah, to honor the Al-Sufian Islam, that our days may be longer upon the earth land, which the Lord of the universe, Allah, have given you. The law was the Torah. The Torah is the first law, is divine law. The law is the divine law that we call the Torah. And so the law of Allah. And the way of Islam is eternal love. And so what our first father, Abraham, left behind was the covenant, the law, the way of Islam. As-salam. The way of Islam is called Al-Sufian. Abraham, our first father, did not leave behind the Holy Quran, nor did he leave behind the Holy Bible.
That's big there.
What he left behind was the way of Islam. Al-Sufian, Islam, Allah. Sufa Torah. And Abraham is and was of Moorish descent. So the Moorish God is eternal love, infinite wisdom, and the strength of gentleness. All the time, all the way. Allah changes not. Abraham was a Al-Sufian Musalam. So the Al-Sufian Islam, the English translation of that could be the word of the divine creator. So everything that we have been introduced to has been the opposite of Moorish. Everything you've been introduced has been changed from its origin, meaning you have been given sorcery. To change the origin means sorcery. And those who are obsessed in sorcery and magic are the Jewish. So all your concept of slavery don't come from a Moorish God. Any slavery and a concept of enslaving any man or woman is a Jewish law. Those of Moorish descent is under Moorish law through your divine creed, Al-Sufian. Without this, everything that has been given to you has been pre-designed as a template of ignorance by your oppressor, who hate the Moorish God. Now we can go into a long drawn out show and tell history, but those who come to this channel already know that knowledge that there's a pantheon of gods out there. So we don't have to get into that filthiness when we can just understand you already been saturated with the pantheon. To now understand and know where that came from and the origin of these many plural gods, call it Elohim if you may. That's a Jewish thought. So you have to know the narrative if it's Jewish or Moorish. Because the God that you have in your mind now is more akin to Jewish thought. And so Jewish thought has made it a system of complexity, where you have things like the Talmud, the Mishnah, then you have mysticism, Jewish mysticism going into Kabbalah. Then you have offshoots and offsprings of that called Goetia. And this what breaks you off into the 72 names of the Shem Ham Hafaresh, which all these will lead you astray. These are the teachings of the people who was kicked out of the holy city of Islam, because they don't practice Islam, hence Judaism and Christianity. So who wanted to wipe out Moorish history was Jews.
Yeah.
And so Jews are the faction that have set out by swearing, wallahi, to destroy Moorish history. This is their DAB. Moors, those of Moorish descent of the ancient people of Moral, did not speak Arabic. That is a Jewish language. But of course, just like all Jewish concepts are derived from the names of Allah, so everything that the Jewish have compiled and put together is from the Moorish science and mathematics that we call Al-Sufian Islam, which is he be ruled. So this is what they took out of your mind and replaced with all the concepts you know now from the Bible. The devil put his own book together and called it the Bible and the Quran. And so you be drawn to it. He put Holy Bible and Holy on the Quran, because he's the one that was around the Moors to understand what he needed to do to create war and start what is called the Great Conflict. Today he called it war. But then it was called the Great Conflict of the Marab people. This is the part of history that he wanted you erased from. Yeah. So this way, the Jewish God can be what it is right now and be deceiving the whole wide world. So what we have is the capital city of the Jews is known as Babylon, or Babel, or a babe of El. A baby El. Now, in this most ancient city of Babel, where you hear the Tower of Babel from its Jewish book, number 5 out of Sufa 69. Upon the great conflict and the great peril, the peril, the great danger, the great war against the Marab people. This is the history that the Jews never wanted you to discover. This is why you are Moorish, is because you are people of Morab. Morab, or as they would say in their Jewish language, Rabil Alamin. that's talking about the moral people. But see, this is something thing. I'm glad I said that in that language, so I can bring something you didn't know to something you do know. There's something called RAB, and this is a Persian spirit that represented him before he was cleverly put into the Bible. He was known as an angry, mean spirit called Angra Mainyu, or this is where you get the manna that fell from heaven. Now, this comes out of Zoroastrianism, which is a form of Judaism before Judaism was named Judaism, or Christianity was named Christianity. The reason why I brought Araman up, because that would be the equivalent to the Satan. And so now, when you in Arabic think you are worshiping Allah and you say a phrase such as a Jewish phrase such as Bismillah Ir-Rahman, this is who you are talking to. You're not talking to Allah. Allah don't need no Bismillah. Bismillah is for the naming of El-Rahman. There's a name of the Jewish literature, El-Rahman. And then it say El-Rahim. The El-Rahman is not a name of Allah. It's the name of this deity right here that's on the screen. So if I was you, I would stop speaking in Arabic if you want to worship Allah, because the Persians, who are the Jews, created that language to curse and worship not Allah. This is the cleverness of language if you don't know its origin and who the people who authored this. These people love demons, not Allah. So they wanted to make conflict against the people of Allah. So this is what they did. This is what became known as Babel. And so the Tower of Babel was the overseer of the language that confused all the people of Allah that was speaking one language. So that's the Great War. This is before the Punic Wars. This is for the Battle of Uhud. This is before Islam attack of Jewish crusades, taking on spiritual identities such as Christians and Muslims. Christians and Muslims are Moorish names for honoring the principles of divinity. But Jews have now, over time, written themselves in a history of Moorish history that they have plagiarized, remixed, and rewrote into Jewish history, and making their offsprings, progenitors, successors under this umbrella. So today's new word for Jews is Israel. So the God of Israel is a Jewish God. and is not a universal God, like the Moorish God, who is the great God, the almighty divine creator, Allah of all creation, of all existence. So this took some time and deep undercover study of Noble Drew Ali's works to understand who are the Moorish. And this is why the Moorish is very much top priority if you are under the label of Black, Negro, and color, or even African. Because you had a certain tenet of beliefs, and you had principles above all others, that you should not worship anything lesser. So remember, when you hear other nations say God, they're not talking about the Moorish God. That's the God they need to keep down and defeat it. But they can't. Because his children is everywhere.
Yes, sir.
And it's one thing we learn fast. That's why he had to make his own writings that was plagiarized spirituality. And this is why he made spirituality, when for us it was divinity. For us, it was always divinity and divine. And that is how the universe get here, that we call natural or universal or eternal. As long as you've been here alive and looking, that sun is eternal. You don't know, you done reincarnated many times, and that sun is still the one that was here from before. Because the sun is working off divine law, so it will be there for eternity. So Allah created the people so the people would keep incarnating internally. Unless the Jews can get you to subdue your own will and temporarily and permanently disable your free will.
Right on.
This is what they're aiming to do with the new technology and the neurology technology. Putting technology inside of the human vessel.
Yeah.
This is what they're doing that for. They know God is within. And they know God is within you. And they know God is within you, the self. And so they need for you to not think the way of the Moorish God. See, to a Al-Sufian is how you say the proper name for Moorish. An Al-Sufian, to a man, his ideal is his God. See, this was never outside of you. Your God was never in a book. It was your concept of yourself. How you view yourself from the principles of your divine creed, which upheld the constitution of your divinity. This is how we lived a deific life, or they would say God-like. That the Moors, who you can now rightfully say through proper dalil, al-dalil, which is the evidence of Allah. The proper name for the Moorish American is Al-Sufian. That word is a name of the divine creator that covers all existence and things that you cannot name and cannot see. That's still part of the vast greatness of Allah. So this is very powerful if you can understand through what Allah has given you. Not through these books, not through other nations' minds, not through other nations' gods. Not through their beliefs, not through their concepts, not through their principalities. Nothing works for you from them. Only thing works from you is what's from yours. That's called natural or nature. You naturally are divine. You don't have to be it. You don't have to work on it. Your nature is of righteousness. This is why you call the Al-Musa Alim. Musa Alim, Musalam, Muslim. So as we tap into our language of Allah, this is how you maintain your divinity, your sovereignty, and your interdependence. From these stories, let me make sure now, like I'm telling you with the Adam and Eve, these are stories created by Jews. You know Adam ain't no Moorish name. They got the Adams family.
Yeah, the Adams family. Yeah, ain't that?
Come on now. So we talking about tones.
Yeah.
So those names like Adam and Eve, Cain and Abel, that starts off the Bible.
Yeah.
Those are Jewish personifications of the names of Allah to revert it on his head. So what we want to learn, anything that is non-Moorish is Jewish by its manufacturer. This is what we want to know about the Jews. The Jews regard themselves as above all men.
No one.
So if you feel this little superiority complex in another,
yeah,
when you communicating and interchanging, that's a spirit of a Jew. A Jew regard themselves as above all men, as the priests of all priests. The Jews formed stories and texts which found their way to all quarters of the world of history. This is what we call myths.
Right.
See, your divinity ain't a myth. You exist. But everything that does not have love divine, your divine and natural law that upholds your divine and natural rights, that is called a myth. All evil is a myth. Satan, a myth. The devil, a myth. Lucifer, a myth. Dragon and beast, a myth. All these are Jewish thoughts. And these Jews made their Jewish thoughts gods. But what you need to know, that anything come out of Jewish mind is made of air, clothed with shadows of ignorance. Talking donkey. Come on, y'all. Clothed with shadows of ignorance. A talking snake. Come on, y'all. This evil is a myth. No. The only devil from which men must be redeemed is Jew. The lower self is Jewish. If man will find his own devil, he must look within. His name is Jew. See, a Jew is not concerned with Allah. For Allah is concerned with all. For a Jew, only concern is to gratify their lower self. Self, self, self. Self, self, self. This is what the concept of God of Israel is all about. The Jewish self. The selfish self. Me, 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 me. When all is a part of creation. And all are equal. But you won't find this. This is how you study writings. In Moorish writings, you will always read Allah, in the name of Allah. No one is above the law of Allah. All are equal. This was our oral tradition of Al-Sufian Islam. We didn't need cash, coins, or gold to trade, do business, or barter. That's not our culture. That's not our customs. That's not our conduct. All those are Jewish spirits. All conflicts is Jewish politics. The Jews think they the wisest counsel. They even make up law. They use make-believe to make up law just to hide the power of the Moorish God. The wisest politic is the wisest counsel before the Torah, the law. Let not men nor Jews believe they can be wiser. I ain't talking bud, wiser. We talking wiser than the law of Allah. That's called the Torah. No man, and especially Jews, is wiser than the Torah. And the Torah was created in Allah's mind. So this is some Islam divinity they didn't want you to understand. So they hid the Al-Sufian. Because the Sufian, when you hit an on, that on is for honor. Sufi honor. You honor the way. But the Sufi on is Sufi in. Where you find the Sufian is in. Within the heart. Is where the message was told to us to meet our divine creator in the heart. That's called Al-Sufian. The one who speaks, the Allah who speaks within the heart. If you would serve the Allah who speaks within the heart. See, that's called the way. The way speaks within the heart. So our Moorish wisdom that the Holy Prophet called Islamism. So remember, Islamism is our Moorish wisdom. And our Moorish wisdom is when a man honors man. When man honors man, he honors Allah. What man does for man, he does for Allah. So everything that harms or breeds harm is Jewish by nature. So it ain't many that we have to know and understand. All you have to know and understand and believe is one. Your Al-Fatiha covers the entirety of the Al-Sufian. Faith in the way is simple. The way we left behind for the whole world to better themselves was simple. Who came and made this complex with confusing the people by confounding them with language is the Jews. So the language called English this language that you hear us speaking called English is not called English. It's called Moorish. This is why you can find the truth, but you got to know how to do it. You got to know its origin. So when you hear me say Al-Sufian Islam, that's called Injil. The higher language. The language of the higher self, the Injil. This is what Jewish did not want you to get. The Injil is the irresistible, the higher self, and then the other languages that are Jewish, they breed the lower self. And if you know that the measurement of an angel is the measurement of an Al-Sufian, and that's who they called a man. And that measure of man was 144. So the Jews was around this 144. So half of 144 is 72. So the Jews created a language that will call upon the 72 lower, lesser spirits of the lowest of the lowest. So that's what we have created by allowing evil to spread, is that these other languages that now worship and call upon demons by way of God, and then adding anything but Allah after that. You could say God Odin, God Vishnu, God Satan. All these are different gods that is going astray. And 25 says that the true way of Islam is based on one principle above all others. And that's respect yourself first. This is the love that the Creator gave you to honor. You was to honor God. Number 54. You was to honor God through your good works and virtuous life. That's what the true meaning and origination of the Moorish God. It's through self. And so now, if it's through self, now it's own self to either choose or surrender. To use your good works, to use your virtuous life, or ignore that good works exist and there's no such thing as a virtuous life. This is how you dishonor God.
So many serving the devil. Ain't sure no honor.
the greatest enemies of Allah are those who are entered into Islam. So this is where we get specific now. There are no enemies to Allah until they have entered Islam. And when you have entered Islam and you have entered through the Jewish door, who believe false, who do upon other human beings, this is considered an enemy to Allah. If you enter Al-Sufian Islam and you believe false scriptures and you do evil to other human beings,
See that in full bloom there.
now that's when we have a problem. Leave the oaths to liars.
And that's all they leave to do, take over.
Islam, we don't need. Just to mention that we are Al-Sufi is enough. And then after that, all we got to do is give our word. No manuscript is needed for an agreement with Allah. There is no other deity but Allah. That is the Al-Fatiha. And the original Fatiha has 11 ayat. Not the Jewish version, which upholds 7. So this is why Noble Drew Ali broke the Jewish doors down and revealed what they was doing behind the walls. And it was called Circle 7 Logos. This is how they bind you. This is the greatest of the Jewish sorcery that they have, to bind you in 7 days. Make you believe the day is Sunday. Therefore, your schedule is already planned out for Monday. When nothing in the universe is predetermined, tomorrow ain't predetermined, like a Jewish schedule. So where do we get all this predetermination called a calendar? Make sure we get this on record. Sufa 46:15. Verily, nothing is predetermined within the universe. Allah don't have a schedule for us. He don't have a set condition. Beat a job on Monday, put it off the next week. None of that exists. So who started predetermining for us choices that'll lead us into a cycle that we keep repeating over and over all the way till we go to the grave? Because it's an invisible cycle. If it be so, then no will would Allah possess. If everything was black and white in the universe, then the creator, Allah, would have no will. When I look in the universe, I don't see black and white. I see light. Not black and white, I see light. So they want us to think, Jews, when I say they mean Jews. Jews want us to think in black and white. This is what's called fifth dimensional chess. I'm glad I learned to play chess because I wouldn't even know the black and white game.
I never did learn chess. I learned checkers.
And guess what? Checkers above chess. But they put it in their system, chess above checkers. Because if you notice, in checkers, all the pieces the same. In chess, none of the pieces, all the pieces not the same. So in checkers, all are equal. That little check can become a king.
Yeah.
But the pawn in chess, it's going to stay a pawn more than likely. It ain't going to become a queen or become a king or a rook. All these are states of mind that pull you down to the lower self. So this is what Jews, aka Persians, the tricky Jews, tricky Dicky, that's the Jew, the Persian poison. Listen to how they label things. Thus, the tricky Jew seeks to dash hope. That just made me think of Barack Obama, how he kept dashing hope.
Just to keep hope alive.
And change upon the rocks of absolutes. Meaning everything already predetermined. Black and white, chessboard, trestle board, Masonic, black and white, bow tie, tuxedo. Why do they make this black and white? To deny our ability, our Moorish ability to determine our own destiny. Everything in the universe. No, yeah, that'd be fun. 19 and 20.
Everything in the universe is based upon learning as well as experiencing. To deny learning is to deny a purpose of existence and being.
Now, why we ain't learned that early? Because we didn't have the knowledge of our law. Did they teach y'all in school? Everybody been in school in different generations. Did they teach you the knowledge of our law? So if they didn't teach you about the Moorish God. So now that means we limited by choices. Because they didn't provide us all the choices. They gave us the store version choices. Everything in the store goes back to them. Limited by knowledge. And especially when we're dealing with Jews and knowledge, they love to hide knowledge in language.
Certain limit of knowledge, because they only have a certain limit of knowledge. Like, say, my own experiences, I didn't have knowledge of self in certain situations that caused me to be in bad places.
I'll tell y'all what it is. It's God. Y'all don't know it yet. You call on God, but you don't know who God is. So now you let all these other spirits. There are a lot of people people and spirits playing as God today.
Yeah. Change your mind.
Well, this is important.
I have listened
Yeah, you doing crazy stuff.
and I heard that you were starting with gods in different religions. The name of God is different, and you were saying Jews, their name for God was different.
I'm gonna go to it. Jehovah. That's where you get Yahweh. Yeah. Jehovah.
And so if Jews' name would be Jehovah, and Jews, you was expressing running things.
Number 19. Where they say Jehovah is his Hebrew name, that's the Jewish part right there.
Why don't the Hebrew or Jewish call Jehovah? Well, if they running everything, why is it Jehovah the name instead of God? The name?
Yeah, it is. Ask him. All you got to do is ask. What do you mean when you say God? Who are you referring to? And they're going to give you a Jewish name like Jesus, or they're going to give you a Jewish name like Jehovah, or they're going to give you a Jewish name like Yahweh. But we don't know that these are Jewish names for labeling things evil. So when you say Yahweh or Jehovah, in their Jewish language, when they hear you say that, they saying you worshiping evil. That word means evil to them. For them, that's their God, evil. That's why Jehovah, evil. That's evil. That's why it's nothing but evil going on in their Jewish writings, called the Bible and the Quran. Slavery, murder, rape, imperialism, conditionalism. People are forced. And you can just trace the Christian crusade history down. That's not even hidden. That people was either, it was convert or die under the Jewish motto. So every nation got their own God. Where is the black man's, the black woman's, and their black child God? Where is the Negro God? The damn Hindu got a God, but the Negro don't. The damn Yugoslavian have a God. And a black child don't. Y'all don't get it. I get it. I heard a child defend Jesus. Y'all don't get it yet. Y'all don't get it. It's already in your children's head, your mind, that the Jew is already in it. They defending something they have no idea of, and the people who they come from don't teach it about the knowledge of our law, their own God. So now you're going to get into the pagan aspect. So if you want to look at it, look at our children. This is how you'll see it easy. They play with toys. Those are pagan gods. They call on pagan god names. Batman, Superman, Spider-Man.
Yeah, boy.
That ain't names of our law concerning them and their divinity. That's concerning Jewish gods and Jewish names to depict their power over that child to where they get older that it never be the same.
Yep.
It's called Circle 7 Low Goals. Lock you in. So as a child, when you start going to school, that's the lock-in.
Yep.
You lock down from that day unless you learn the knowledge of Allah. Don't be like me, the Humpty Dumpty that sat on the wall. Don't be like me, the Humpty Dumpty that had a great fall. So our Moorish divine thought was that every living thing is a deity made flesh. Other words, divinity made flesh. If you have a flesh, that is called divinity made flesh under our divine creed. But if you under the church's creed, your flesh is now sinful. Do we get the thought processes? Why it's important to understand God? Because every nation have a God, and if your nationality was taken away by these other nations, then they gave you their God, and you serve and worship their God. You want to know if you do or not? Look at wealth.
Yep.
Who's getting wealthier on your land?
That's right.
That's like in your house. Somebody who was not born in your house got all possession over your house. So take it to a parent to a child. The child don't pay no bills. The child don't make no rules. The child obeys who make the rules and who pays.
That's correct.
So now when we look that up as in adults, over adults, it's the same thing. If you have another nation's God over you, you will know. You got to pay.
That's right.
Your Moorish God gave you everything free. Your payment was your honor. If you was honorable, you have everything you want, everything you need in the way through honest means. This microwave approach that was given by the false concepts provided to us by Jewish thoughts, Jewish minds, Jewish spirits, Jewish bodies. So everything you've been given was a hand-me-down, a Jewish hand-me-down of evil. Don't think that Jewish is good by nature. They're not. They're unrighteous by nature. So any thought that they have put out there into the ethers, and then you as a mind, your own mind, if you accepted that, because these people are master idealists.
Yeah.
They'll create an ideal greater than your mind and have your mind believing in their ideal. And you will take it on and it's yours when you know it's not originally your thought.
Yeah.
So this is why it's important to understand the power of thought. This is why you need an educated mind so you can now protect yourself from thought. Every thought ain't a good thought. Just like all money ain't good money. You don't want to follow with your body every thought. That's what meditation is for. Some thoughts that you follow are going to take you into more trouble. But many people, if they running off book knowledge, if they running off what someone else told them, then they missing the whole point of them, their own selves living and having their own life is to learn. To not learn it is to show disrespect to our law. You was created to learn and to experience. This is called twofold awareness. You can learn through awareness and you can experience through awareness. A revolving door. The one way that holds both. The sacred union. The united parts. So both, we ain't got it. The Bible and the Quran comes out of Babylon. We ain't got it by now. Anything from Babylon is horrible. It's non-Moorish. Anything non-Moorish wants you to die. And to never return. The Jews want you to die. And this is why they gave you their knowledge, so you will never return. Because if you know where they from, like I know where they from, you don't want to follow them. They going back to where they from. The Creator created them, so you need to know where did the Creator create them from. So you will know why they have the nature they have, and you can't reform a Jew.
Okay.
There's a question that's through the Roman, can you reform a devil? Say Musa couldn't reform a devil after 40 years. And they had to be around a Muslim 40 years just to be a Mason. But, you know, I ain't going too deep. Mason is Jewish. Muslims are those who learn from the Al-Sufian. A Muslim was an Al-Sufian Muslim. Muslim always went with Al-Sufian. Nothing. They just cut off Al-Sufian and left Muslim, and then they started putting different type of meanings. A Muslim and a Christian are degrees of knowledge for a moral. When you are born, you get the knowledge of Christian. When you go into the higher, you get in the lower self is Christian knowledge. The higher self is Muslim knowledge. They both one and the same. Just like it said, they are one but divided into parts. So Christ, Allah, is Christallah. Christ, Allah. Christ is the body that holds the divine divinity inside. And Allah is what created all of that, for all of that to exist. Without the existence of Allah, nothing would exist. Not even a concept for you to think. So just know if you can think on it, it exists. Can't nothing exist without Allah. So Allah existed before the dream. How you think the dream come? Allah existed before awake. How you think you become awake? Allah existed before sleep. Why you think there's something called rest? You couldn't do it if it didn't exist. These things exist because the divine creator exists. Other words, you exist because the divine creator exists. The day you start believing the divine creator don't exist is the day you take yourself out of existence. Here we come right here. Number 10. Allah, number 9 first. Allah is volition, free will. Verily, existence, you existing as your own existence, is a choice at each and every moment. Therefore, do not look to the heavens as some great machine, but the cause of many choices of free will to continue to exist. Only by your free will is how you exist. If you want to continue to exist, you're going to need your free will. If you get your will disabled, temporarily shut off, you want to inactivate it, actuate it as quick as possible. You do not want to permanently disable will. This is what the Jews want. They kill your will to 0%. And then you will never come back into existence. That's called the abyss. It's called Allah or Wallah. They know it. They made Sumerian myths, Mesopotamian myths. About what I'm saying to you right now. So it ain't much to say after we just delivered the whole pantheon of other nations, other books, writings. We have no idea where all of that come from. It come from the Jews who found out that Allah had names. And so while the Moorish Al-Sufians have a direct relation with their God, Allah, this is what the Jewish wanted to corrupt. That wisdom of what was just said, your direct relation where you can talk to Allah yourself. This is the whole point of you learning to live so you can talk to Allah yourself. That sound like it should be sound knowledge. Right knowledge is right thinking. So I think from this forward that we could just open it up to the public. If the public voice will be heard, if the public voice got any questions from all that was delivered, all that was said. Now, as we say in the South, the ball in your court. Ask Allah yourself. And we'll bring it right on up for you. Everything that's been shared.
When you were speaking earlier about all these different gods and all, and everybody calls no God. Well, when you look around in the world today, pretty much everybody in pretty bad shape. So we know it can't be legit. It can't be real because every country calling on God and killing like a drunk insect. Lying to the people and everywhere the word called government. That's what they call state, federal, and then government. Ain't nothing but just killing people, taxing them to death, and everything there. That's what's going on the land.
I forgot. I'm glad I heard you say
From
that.
coast to coast.
From coast to coast. Mm-hmm.
God game.
Mm-hmm.
God said no more God game.
If you want no more God games, the true name that solves it all is Al-Sufian. This is what we call our sacred divinity. You won't get your knowledge of Allah from the Quran. You won't get your knowledge of Allah from Hadiths. You won't get your knowledge of Allah from tafsirs, madhabs, or even wrong akidas. If you want to do properly du'as, then you want to understand Al-Sufian. Otherwise, your rakats in vain, your salats are in vain, and your du'as. And if you are a devout Muslim, I suggest you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth. Because a Muslim does not never follow a Jew. Jews decide the Fajr. Jews decide the 5 times the prayer. Jews design when to pray. That is not Allah or Morah Abba. That's not Moorish Islam. Remember, Moorish wisdom is Islamism. Islamism is Moorish wisdom. Islamism equals Sufism plus Islam equals Al-Sufian. And that's the equation for the consciousness of black divinity. That's your equation for your black divinity. As-salam, as-salam, as-salam. Latif Al-Sufian Mu'id. Sufa al-Allah.